both to roll back if needed instantly without the deployment, but we also need an audit trail. We really need to understand how things happened. So that's another big aspect of using flags as your iteration layer here. And a huge one is this really ability for segmentation. So separating release from deployment and then going further and being able to release to a specific user or a whole tenant, or maybe by geography to specific continents or specific features to people on different plans only, or a mix of all of the above. So really this gives the fine granular ability to target specifically who will get some version, which leads to the first of the A/B testing. So not only we target who will see what, we have this ability to really validate all of the assumptions that brought us to this moment, what started from eval signals, continued then to in a release to a small beta testers of a specific segment. But then we really want to see, did this work? Did this make an impact? And that's where A/B testing of traffic, having control traffic, having different variants, submitted to different users, and then being able to analyze the data and be able to confidently say, you know, the 98% that this did worked better than the other version, which takes us back really to the iteration loop, which is the point of the whole setup that we're showing here.
Exactly. And then the flags are one part, but then how do you know your flags are, which flags are working and which are not, especially in the AI context, right? You need to monitor, you need to have observability for your AI, and you need ways to test in which flag, which behavior is working better. Hello, my name is Rogerio, CTO and co-founder of Language. I didn't introduce myself before, but I'm introducing myself together with Language. So meet Language, which is the testing and evaluation platform for AI agents. So with Language, as we will see on the webinar today, combined with Flagsmith, combined with the feature flags, you can create different behaviors for your agent, but then you can simulate them before going to production, knowing which works well. And then, of course, after going to production, you want to monitor, you want to observe under which flags, which behavior is working better, so then you can keep iterating and improving on your agent. So combining those two is a really strong and powerful combination, because you can take the, you can take each A and B version of your flags, and then you can see which ones are satisfying users the most, for example. So you can, as the title says, you can ship what you can see. So Language allows you to collect traces from your agent, everything that is going between your agent and your users, or your agent and your system. If it's a backend system, we capture as traces. So traces are the little operations that an agent does. For example, every LLM call that reaches OpenAI or Anthropic, every tool invocation, the tokens and the dollar spends, as well as any evaluations, any metrics on top of that. This is added with one line of code. Plus, of course, a skill that we have now that just instruments your code for you, and then you start tracing it. Then on top of those traces, you can run evaluations, both online evaluations. So as they are happening in production, you can have another agent validating and triggering you an alert that maybe you should disable that flag because some problems are happening. And of course, also offline evaluations, and as you see, scenarios. So scenarios allow you to basically write end-to-end tests, but for your agents. This is a good pre-prod validation, so then you can run some simulated environments on that new features that you're adding, and then you can have more certainty. And once your CI is green, which then allows you to upgrade yourself to the next step, which is actually going to production safely as well under a flag. Then, of course, as you are there and everything's traced and you have this evaluation, this brings it down to a feedback loop, because you can use our MCP, you can use our CLI to give it in the hands of an agent, and that agent can explore Language, see what's going on with your agent, with your application, and then can use that to improve itself and go to the next round. So in summary, Flagsmith choose what to ship and LangWatch shows how is it doing. All right. Now, the exciting part, demonstrating all that, putting it all together, right? And I want to quickly go through this and I want to show the demo ready because I want to kick it off. And while it's running, we explain things, right? So what we built for this webinar was a self-improving cooking agent. So every day after going out of work, I call my wife and I ask, what are we going to eat today? And then we always have this debate. So I thought it would be nice to have something there, especially for this this webinar. It would be a great example because it's something that everybody uses, and you can do a lot of back and forth. Yeah, I don't like this. This is not working well, and so on. So basically, we wanted something that self-improve. And how did we do that? We built a quick agent on GPT-5 Mini, and then we connected with Flagsmith and we collected with LangWatch. Then what we built as well was GitHub Action. For those who don't know, GitHub Action is if you're using CI/CD, that's the concept. So every change that it makes, it runs on top. But you can also use that to trigger outside changes made, to trigger automatically. So we did an action, we did a CI/CD pipeline that every day triggers automatically. And what it does is going to LangWatch, seeing the traces, seeing how the cooking agent behaved, and then finding, creating hypotheses on what could be improved, then creating a pull request, submitting a pull request with suggested improvements under a flag from Flagsmith. So then in the next morning, we just had to wake up, approve this PR, and then see it going live to production. Because it's under a flag, then it's completely protected, right? So we just need to enable it, and then we can test it ourselves. If something goes wrong, you can just disable it. Then we use it, we give it feedback, but not directly, right? You just use the thing and you complain with it that things are bad or things are not working. And then this is enough for the feedback to be captured on LangWatch to then go on the next morning, on the next loop, and keep improving. I want to show the cooking agent already, and then I want to ask people to type something, but do you want to add anything on top of that, Isaac, before I go there?
No, I'm curious to see it since the last time it improved himself. It's always a surprise to see where we got.
Exactly. Are you seeing my whole screen by any chance?
No, we see the presentation.
You see the presentation. Let me stop sharing and let me share the... give me a moment. Okay. Okay, I think I am in the right place now. Sorry, I seem to have lost the tab. Apologize. It is on the repository, so I can find it back. Oh, okay, I see now. Because I'm sharing the presentation full screen. Okay. Sharing the window. You can see now, right? Can you see the cooking agent? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
He's got
Perfect.
new filters up there. Nice.
Yeah, there are new features. There's model selection. There's even a
All right.
oh no, the image.
That.
We disabled the image sending. Anyway, so let's test it out. Let me open up a new one here. I think, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Hello. Okay. So this is the cooking agent. It's a simple agent. You can come here and then send any messages. It's doing the cold start first. But you saw there was already a recipe there. And let me tell you, the way we started this, it literally had nothing. I think there's a slide here showing how is it that we started. It was just that. So it was just two functions, one that like accepts an API, right, the endpoint, and then the other one, which is the agent itself using GPT-5. That was it, instrumented with LangWatch, of course, on LangWatch trace. So through it, we could say like, hey, it would be nice to have an interface. It would be nice to be able to do this or to do that. And then it started creating the pull requests to improve itself. Yeah, I wish I warmed up it before. Yeah, 60 seconds.
Are there any
But
open pull requests it created?
there are.
Yeah.
Let me show it. Meanwhile, here. So this is the repository we can share with everyone. It's public already. And so this repository, like I said, starts very simple. There is the links also to play with it there. And then we created this action over here. So this action is called improve. And what it does is starting a cloud code and then telling this cloud codes to use LangWatch MCP and Flagsmith MCP to then look at the traces, understand what's going on, create a hypothesis, and then do an improvement. If I look at the previous run here, then you see it took 60 minutes. So it did quite some work. It ran the iterator with Cloud Code, and then it said, here is a summary of what was found. It found a problem in traces, and then it creates a PR. The problem in traces that it's talking about here, I want to actually show you because it's a problem that I faced and I complained to it, and then it fixed for me, which is the markdown parsing rendering. Let me show here. So this is the PR that the agent created all by itself, pointing what is the problematic trace on LangWatch. But I think if I show you here is better. Okay, so we have a cooking assistant, right? That is up and running. Okay. Oh yeah, and this was my previous conversation with it, where I faced the problem. So let me show you what happened here. I said, decide my dinner tonight. And then it said all that. I said, wow, too long, didn't read. And then it said this, got it. So super short, it gave me those three options, right? And then I said, I think you should have some options for me to easily select, like 1, 2, 3. And then say, sure, just pick one number. And then it did it again. It's like, the numbers are not here. So as a developer, I kind of know, but so I said, I see, I think the markdown is not rendering the numbers. So the numbers should be here, but they're not. And then I picked one anyway, and it gave me the recipe. But the thing is then, I triggered this job for auto improvement, right? So I went there, and this is something that I shouldn't need to trigger. It happens every night, but I can also trigger manually. So I trigger it, and then if you look at the output again, then you will see that it realized that it found a problem in traces. 2 real users complained the number lists were invisible. And then it created a PR for it, and the PR has the trace ID as well. So now if I go to LangWatch, right? So here's LangWatch. I think it's actually even open. Here are some tests there to run. And then if I click on LangWatch, you see the trace that it found. And this trace, let me go to the trace details. My computer seems to be a bit slow today. Let me find the trace over here. I hope it gave me the right trace ID. User said, I think the markdown is not rendering you the numbers. Let me see if I can find it over here. Oh, okay, not finding the trace now for some reason. Or maybe the trace ID was hallucinated. User asked for format. There we go. Okay, that's the trace. So you can see the conversation here. I think you should have some options for me. 1, 2, 3, history, decide my dinner tonight, and then pick one by the number. You see that on LangWatch, it's rendering it correctly, but it sees that I think you're not rendering the number. So the auto-improve agent saw that, it saw the trace, it navigated here, it understood the whole conversation of what was happening, right? And then it proposed the fix. So this fix became a PR over here. And then before we merge in this PR, of course, it ran some tests. So here you can see the tests that ran, and you can see the scenarios that run. So scenarios, as we can show, are basically end-to-end tests for your agent. So even before merging it, then it runs various examples that we have and that we ask the agent to create or that it created itself. So basic quick night recipes that are constrained safety warnings, which then you can see back on the language platform. So if I go here to runs, you will see all the scenarios that was run for the pipeline, and you see that they all pass. So the whole pipeline is green, all the tests, examples tests are green. So it means that our PR is good to go. If I go back to the PR, let me find it back. We saw that it was good to go, then we merged it. What this did was creating this flag on Flagsmith, right? So now our agent is live, but the fix is still not there. But now we have a flag that can just enable this fix. All that happened automatically, by the way. So all I need to do is enable this flag, confirm. And now if I refresh the page, there are my numbers because now the flag is on. I just needed to, so I just basically reviewed. I didn't do any work. I just reviewed that the agent do the right thing and I enabled the flag. And this is with many flags. So you see how many flags were accumulated already? Those are all features that the agent developed all by themselves. One I like is the premium UI. So let me just enable that and we have a more, all of a sudden, a more premium experience. That's it.
I love this look.
Cool. So, Asaf, what do you think now? Should we do some improvements on it?
Oh, I didn't even see all of them that we've done so far. Well, you want to give him a specific one?
Yeah, no, I was thinking, what if, folks, anyone in the comments, can you tell me what recipe should I ask? Or, yeah, anything. Let's ask the agent and let's see if it can improve itself. Let me create. Do you see my private tab?
The private tab?
I created a new tab. Wait, let me share that because then I can create a new window. All right, so.
Well, I would love a keto-friendly filter. I tried to nag him before to add one. I see he didn't catch
What
up on my
filter?
request. A filter for keto diet.
A filter for keto diet.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Ron asked for a recipe of panna cotta. Maybe you can ask a keto panna
A
cotta.
keto panna cotta. I would love one of those. I heard it's
Uh,
possible.
Recipe of panna cotta. And then I already say, oh, yeah, I can type while it's cooking. Cooking. All right, warming up again. Sorry, Ron, that we have to wait for a little bit. Yeah, and then I'm going to follow up asking it for a keto filter. Oh, yeah. Let's check what we have already while this warm up. We have bubble layout, consistent ingredient quantities. So it's changing things not only on the UI, right? But also on the chat behavior itself, on the agent
I think
behavior.
that's the most beautiful part here, really, that this every new release that comes out behind the flag includes this combination of an updated prompt because now we have different filters, so it needs to update itself completely. And that's why this release behind the flag is so powerful together with AI prompting. Like maybe it identified it needs longer context, shorter context, but then together with actual UI elements, maybe even new backend functions or tools that it might want to load. So wrapping all of this up as a every night it creates a new flag with entire new encapsulated functionality behind it. We could take this further and also ask it to start releasing it gradually. Flagsmith has an MCP server, so it could continue from here, either to specific segments or slow gradual rollout, check the results, see if it's safe to continue, and actually take it all the way to production.
Awesome. Yeah. Maybe that should be the next iteration. Maybe we can ask itself to do the next iteration, right? But yeah, okay, we got the recipe back of panna cotta, and I'll ask it to make it keto. But also, Ron, since you suggested this, can you take a quick look and any suggestion here, any feedback, anything you wanted to know? If not, I already have an idea. I was expecting to see an image here, to be honest. Right? Yeah. Image. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. So two things. I expected to have a keto filter, but also, shouldn't those recipes come with a generated image? So I see how would it look like. I mean, you're using OpenAI behind the scenes, and they just launched an amazing model for image generation. So who knows if that will work? Let's see. So it's cooking. It's going to reply something. But what I want, is actually to show the magic behind the scenes here, because obviously you can't generate images right now, as far as I know. So if you come here now on language, the message that you sent will be visible as new traces. So you see now here the Italian custard, the recipe of the panna cotta, right? So that's what what's it? Oh, I'm not sharing the right screen.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Coming back. So if I come back here, let me refresh it again. Yeah, it already opened up with the new traces. There we go. So here you already have the new messages. So two things that I expected to have. One is, the keto filter, but also shouldn't those recipes come with a generated message, right? And that's enough. So knowing that it's here, it's enough to know that my job will do the right thing when improving. Apologies. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to GitHub. I'm gonna go to the cooking agent improving action, and I'm gonna trigger it, and we can explain more on how it works behind the scenes while this is running. And hopefully we have time, like 15 minutes. It's just about the end of the workshop, and we'll see a new flag live, and we can just enable and hopefully see images. Who knows? So now this is running. It's going to pull up the language traces, is going to understand what's going on, is going to give some suggestions, is going to trigger Cloud Code to implement it, and then it's going to create a new PR just for us to approve. So it's running. Let's see what we get at the end. Meanwhile, let's continue with the explanation how it actually works. So you can see the presentation back again, right?
Yes.
All right. So do you want to explain a little bit, Asaf?
Sure. Two layers, one loop. What we started with the user just asking for a weeknight pizza. What actually happened here, went to a fast API chat. That place itself is flag gated potentially already as a kill switch if needed. Passed it to a Python cooking agent. Then came really the decision layer of what do we use? OpenAI, GPT-5, what? This is also a place where we can start playing with configs and try different versions. And all of that goes to language for the traces and the evals that we can pick up on. All of that gets collected by the self-improving GitHub action that we saw that we just started it. It creates whatever is the next self-improvement and gates it properly. If needed again, it can even release it to specific segments, tiers, however we see right. And we start all over again. That's the single loop of letting it iterate and iterate in cycles.
Yeah. And of course, here we've done like one example, right? It's just us using it right now. And we said maybe should have an image. In real life, probably you won't take all the suggestions from your users. But if you have 1,000, 10,000 messages going through, right? It is a great way for your agent to look at that in bulk, look at all those traces. It has all the tooling to navigate there and then just understand what is the general sentiment, right? Or what is the general ideas, and then create those hypotheses to then create flags under and then keep improving the loop. So it's a very powerful way to get this wisdom of your customers.
I would not have dared to do that without a flag. That's letting it
exactly.
run wild like that.
Exactly. And yeah, I showed the slide before, but just to explain again, it was actually a bit more than that. But the version 0.1 actually had only 200 lines of code. So we literally prompted to existence, right? But real basic agent, basic UI, you can see there on GitHub. And what you see now was basically all self-improved from that action. This is a goal that we made for ourselves from the beginning. So by having this setup, it allows you to roll a new model safely, for example, like Asaf was explaining. So do you want to explain the attributes
Sure.
part, Asaf? Yeah.
I can go. Like really, this is a real use case here of running out an upgraded model. And if you start from the baseline, let's say it's ChatGPT 5 mini, as it was now in our self-improving agent, which is considered a mid tier. And we start with the traces and eval. So all of this to establish a baseline from there. Now we already have a PR open for going to higher to GPT-5 or any other model we want, but we want to release it first to a certain segment, only either a specific segment of customers that are known to be part of beta groups that want to test new stuff, or just a random 5% of users that we want to start ramping up. And the whole point here is really parallel trace groups. So we can continue with the tracing, and now we can compare our baseline with what is going on with this upgrade that we want to release. If everything looks good, ramp it up, either segment by segment or percentage wise. Keep monitoring the whole time. And if
Hmm.
something does happen, any regression, a quick revert. It's a flip of a switch. No deployment was needed during this entire release cycle, going from a PR that was coded by AI to a safe release to 100% of your users with exit points at every step of the way.
Exactly, because the deployments and the fixing it takes a while, right? You see, it takes around 15 minutes. I just want a quick check on our agent. How's it going? So far, so good. It's now iterating with Sonnet. That's nice. But yeah, just to add on that, because indeed, the quality and things going well or going badly is not just the traces as I showed, right? But also on metrics, also on how much this is costing you even. So for example, you can also see behind the scenes of those messages that you're receiving from the cooking agent, all the usage and metrics and how your cost is accumulating. So far, so good, just $1. So that doesn't seem to be a problem. But you have the error trends here, and all that the agent using the language MCP also has access to. So you can use those to take decisions and create hypotheses, right? So maybe this model is too expensive, we should switch, or maybe we can go higher because that's actually quite cheap. And then on top of that, you also add evaluations. So for the traces that we're running, so for example, if I take one from here, then you can see also on the evaluations tab. So you can have a judge agent observing what's going on those traces to create some kind of real-time intelligence, right? And this intelligence is what you can plot also on the analytics. So here I have some the eval pass rate, the real-time eval pass rate, which seems to be close to 100%. So no problems there. But this is something that could trigger an alert, for example, and then get you to go back to Flagsmith or connect automatically to then turn off the flag and revert to that feature without any new deployment required, just instantly. Then a little bit on the flow, just showing the flow of the agent, of the self-improving agent that we triggered just now. This is what's happening on those 50 minutes. So what it does is pull the traces, understand all the failures, understand all your failed evaluations or bad user messages, what's going on. Then it has a bit of a prompting there to group those failures and then come up with hypotheses to draft a fix, right? But this fix doesn't go completely blind. So the AI does check itself by writing tests to itself. And if it's a UI, then you can write unit tests, or API, you can write unit tests, integration tests. If a UI, you can write React testing library tests. But if it's an agent, if it's a prompt change, then how do you test it? You need to write some scenario tests. which is the case for our agent. So then it double checks itself. So it stays, that's why it takes, we put for 50 minutes to be fast actually, but it could take longer. It keeps working, checking itself for a bit until it thinks it's good enough. And then it ships behind the flag. We are shipping on a PR right now where you can approve, but like, as I've said, this may be even an optional step. It could maybe just ship and then disabled, of course, because it passed all your tests. It didn't break a pipeline, so it won't break production. And you are in control when to actually release. It's actually a business decision now, not an engineering anymore. Right? So in summary, you wrap in one flag, you trace one call, and then you write one scenario, and then you have a new feature. Every night you can ship a new feature and have it fresh and smelling nice in the morning. Cool. Now, let's see, how is our improvement doing? Okay, it's still running. So now, while it runs, I think we have 15 more minutes, and this has been 7 minutes. So we have around 7 minutes for questions. Any questions, folks? Drop it in the chat. Or anything you're curious that we could do? Yeah, one sec, typing a long one, all right.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect less from you, Ron. What is the overall feedback so far from the clients? Are you asking for the cooking agent? So the cooking agent doesn't have real clients. It's something that we built for this webinar. So you are the real clients, right? I'm actually going to share here. Feel free to use it however you want. And then, yeah, give the feedback there. Just complain with the agent. It's going to fix itself. So you can complain all you want.
I have already cooked one recipe.
Oh,
I,
have
I
you?
battle tested it in the real world.
All right. I mean, language and Flagsmith clients. Well, yeah, we've been around for a few years now. So language clients are using it, as a critical part of their workflow nowadays. So, for example, for traces, we have clients with millions of messages per month. And this became a key part of their observability and business metrics to understand the ROI of their agents, right? And the way teams are using it mostly on development is as part, as we call, the agent development lifecycle flow. So teams building agents, they really need a way to be able to trust what those agents are doing and communicate with stakeholders how does the agent behave in each of those different situations. So scenario is something that our customers have been using a lot. They're pretty excited about, which is providing this simulated conversations that they can share with the customers when implementing an agent for them, for example. So yeah, there's a bunch of features of the platform now that we won't really have time to go into. But yeah, if you have anything specific that you want to know, then I can expand on that. As for Flagsmith, Azef, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think well, what we're seeing for sure is people release more. Engineers are releasing more code. The speed of software development has collapsed. That's just the reality, the new reality of things. And with it, this need emerging to be able to do all of this safely and securely, but still keep the momentum and the flexibility. So we are definitely seeing a peak at just number of releases growing per
Right.
organization, per engineer, but also companies and other, for the first time, hitting this problem that they didn't have before. Like everybody was waiting for features. And right now it's really not the problem anymore. Like features are being spun up. It's what do we do with all of this? And being able to target release safely a much higher volume of code into production is
Right.
enabling the teams that adopt it to move faster and gain feedback
Right.
faster and iterate.
And that's a good point too. Also, thinking of language now and the scenarios, because building an agent or building a product, right, is as easy as ever. But knowing how to build it right, like why is my agent better than just using ChatGPT directly, for example? What is it that your product wants? So you really need this collaboration between product and what's coming from the real world, right? Yeah, so that's where those tools play really well indeed, and the shipping speed has been higher than ever.
So much so that we're able to have an agent use both of those to do its own work. That's how nice these things play together.
Right. What do you think of OpenTelemetry for eval observability? Is the language supported? Yes, absolutely. So we are OpenTelemetry native. Everything that you saw that generated the traces here, this is coming via OpenTelemetry. One differentiator of language is that we do everything in real time. So we have simulations coming through right now, I think. Yeah, there we go. So we have simulations coming through live because our improving agents is Claude is iterating and it's running the tests. And see, so the message just arrived and this simulation was successful. It's probably going to start a new one and you can just follow it in real time. It's very cool to see.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because those are all test conversations, right? So before it's confident enough to open up a PR, it's like, okay, let me create some test conversations, which is some like business setting stone things like this can't fail, right? We really need to test it. And then, yeah, it has a conversation back and forth with the agent. What can I cook with this photo? What can I, quick gluten-free. And then, of course, you can see the trace behind the scenes. And yeah, to answer your question, this is just an OpenTelemetry trace, which of course we add all the AI features on top. So, okay, now back to the cooking agent. Ron said, I like the cooking use case because it doesn't have a clear ground truth. I see a lot of those. Let's say you want to get better control and observability over real use case. For example, an AI agent who goes to iterative improve pricing optimization models. You know that the pricing model are getting better. That's the goal. But how do you measure improvements in the AI agent's iterations? Let me see if I understand, Ron, because you know that the pricing models are getting better, right? If you have an objective metric for success or for accuracy of the pricing model, then you can measure the improvements in the AI iterations, right? Then every iteration you can actually have a metric against it and see how much it improved. But I think I get your overall point. This is not a very an open problem. Maybe Asaf, I'll
No,
let you get a jab on it.
I'm thinking there's even a meta question here about how does the agent really know that it was its own improvements that made the improvement? I don't know if that's what the one was referring to, but this can go as deep as you want. I mean, if you want to start orchestrating agents to judge against each other and then really try to correlate specific iterations to improvements, that's taking it a bit far, but I love it. It's definitely a place we can go.
I just gave you a mic, Ron. I think you can accept and talk.
Can you hear me? 1 second. Hello, hello.
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 Hi.
Yes.
Asaf,
Hi.
thank you very much, guys. I really like what you did here. 1 second. I have my camera. I'm not sure what you're gonna see. Ah, there we go.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, sorry, I'm not ready for the panel, but bear with me here for a sec. So yeah, I really feel like this combination of what is it, Flagsmith
Yep.
and language
Yes.
is quite potent. Like I feel like there's potential here, but I'm trying to understand on a real world use case. So the question that I was trying to ask, right? So imagine you have an AI agent whose goal is to iteratively improve your traditional data science based, traditional ML based pricing models.
Sorry to interrupt, Ron.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm really excited because it did create
Oh
already
Well,
the
let's see what it did. Let's see what it did.
yeah. And then I think, let me see, because sometimes in some PRs, I have some examples. It even puts the screenshots on it, but yeah, I don't think that's the case. So it did fix flag augmented prompts by bypassing. Is that it? Is that the fix that it did? Let me open back again. Sorry, too many tabs. Fix flag augmented prompt bypassed in multi-turn conversations. Wow. Okay. Reveals a silent bug. Method moves. I think it fixed the bug it found on the history. The photos of cooking project when okay. Yeah, I actually not sure.
There was a follow-up at the end there. It said something about
Follow up
follow-ups,
at
add a
kit.
key to dietary chip. Trace shows this and identity
Oh, so you didn't
confusions.
ask it. Also, I asked it for light mode before, so it
I
didn't
mean, it's
implement them.
picking bugs before new features. As a product person, I don't know if I'm blaming it right now.
It's a good one. Should we merge this? We should, right?
Yeah.
Let's go. All
So
right.
we don't even look at the code anymore, right? Like that's old school.
It's safe. It's safe. It's under a flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry, go run while this merges and goes live, and then we understand what it does. Yeah, sorry, go back.
No, so like a lot of the use cases that are kind of easy to solve have a certain ground truth, right? So like a classification model, right? And you know
Right.
what the correct label should be, what it should predict. And so you just make a golden data set, you tweak based on that. The golden data set also grows with new edge cases. But
Right.
let's say with this optimization, it's an AI agent that's optimizing other models, right? Its job is to improve their performance. And then you're working on the AI agent trying to make itself better, right?
Right.
How do you know that your current, how would you measure that your current iteration improves your optimization, like your pricing optimization models better than your previous iteration of the AI agent? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For things that don't have a golden label, right? For things that don't have.
Just as an example, yeah, but this is one
Yeah.
of them, right? That I recently ran into myself.
Right. So I think you really need to find a metric, right? A North Star metric, like an ROI measurement and so on. So for example, I previously I worked at Booking, and then at booking.com, like they're super good at it. So there's a ton of metrics, and they all hierarchically derive from each other. So at the end of the day, what Booking wants to do is sell more hotel rooms, right? So if they build an agent, for example, and then the agent is making people super happy and so on, but that's actually reducing the sale because the agent is so good that tell them to book Airbnb, for example, that's not a good thing, right? Not for the business. So yeah, in the case of the pricing model, if it were a pricing model, for example, for an airline, at the end of the day, you want your airplane seats full, right? So I would still try to tie that up back to a North Star metric. And that's where I think A/B tests really help, right? But yeah,
sorry to interrupt, but yeah. So I just want to tie this into Langsmith, Flagsmith, and Langwatch. Like, how would you, for example, use Langwatch for this use case, or how would you use Flagsmith, right? So how
Yeah,
would you A/B
I
test?
can add a bit more, maybe a bit more color here. Really, you do need some kind of metric to work against. Yeah, that's some baseline that need. Now, there could be a meta metric, and I think that's really the case because imagine that every one of those iterations, if it has a metric at the beginning and at the end of it, and you're able to analyze not only the result but also the iteration itself, and then I can imagine you can compare whole iterations. And that's where you're experimenting on the experimenter here. Yeah, I love it. It's very meta. But but the fact that you are able to encapsulate the full cycle, and as long as you have something to measure against, and that's where also Flagsmith now connects with streaming evaluations of flags into other into other data warehouses. You probably have data from other places. It's not always as straightforward to mix them, but if you have Stripe shipping to your Snowflake and you have flags evaluations and custom events being shipped there as well, you have the open telemetry and you're seeing traces. I can imagine an agent can actually get to a relatively objective answer about which iteration was better and maybe then go and try to dig why that was iteration is better, and that's the answer to improving the agent itself when you compare
yeah.
the whole cycle of iterations.
And let me give you an example on how we could use that with Language. So we have a customer, a big bank in Brazil, and they're automating all their customer support with an agent, right? 30% of their customer support inbound is already handled by an agent, and then 70% gets escalated to a human. They want to increase this number from 30 to 80% until the end of the year, right? So that's their North Star metric. And how do you know it was escalated to a human? Because a certain tool call was called in the agent, or because the person is asking so, and they use Language to measure that, right? So you could plug in, you could connect Language with Flagsmith, and then you could have the same flag, half people won, half people. So do the A/B test, right? And then you see which one actually changes behavior left or right. And this is actually, of course, you need the right amount of traffic and so on. But for example, on the example I gave before, a booking, the bottleneck was hypothesis, or people creating those experiments. If they could create more experiments faster, then they would optimize their solution faster. And I think this is the part that is now being compressed a lot and kind of solved. And then you can use the tooling like Flagsmith with the metrics like from Language to just find what's the winner.
I really like that example. Yeah. So for example, in this use case that I brought up, let's say that we have two different dynamic pricing models, and we can run one iteration of the AI agent on one model and another iteration of the AI agent on another, and measure the improvements of the pricing models, like how well different versions of the agent improves them essentially, and then compare them and keep the one that has the greatest improvement. Okay. Nice.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Ron. We're
Yeah,
going
let me
towards
drop
the end.
off. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
Thanks,
thank you
Ron.
very much.
thank
So
you guys
just
for
wanted
taking my question. Yeah.
just wanted to wrap this up and show that this is live now, and we do have a new feature flag here. There you go. What it does is use flag augmented system prompt, filling silent bypasses, safety, dietary measurements. Okay, so it just changed some things in the prompt and put it under a flag to improve the conversation. I'm going to enable it and then play with it later and see if indeed the prompt is better. But that's it. I hope you could see how an improvement flow can be done with automatically for your agents with Language and Flagsmith. Now go ship the system. Here are the QR codes for you to check out Language as an open source platform, as well as Flagsmith. So check out the platform. You can create an account for free. You can star us on GitHub. And here below, there is the cooking agent repo as well. So if you want to emulate something like that, if you want to clone the repo, if you want to contribute, if you want to put more agents that are contributing to that, feel free as well. And thank you very much, folks, for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, any questions, you know where to find us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Rogerio. Always a pleasure. Let's go ship something.
Let's go. All right. Cool. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.